Good morning and welcome to Berry Aftercare. Good morning, I say, because usually I film these in the afternoon, and I guess it's just a habit to say good whatever. It happens to be the morning. I've been really super busy, so I'm a day behind here. I wanted to thank those of you who came to the retreats the past 2 weeks. If you're not familiar, I do retreats for persons struggling with weight issues, regain, food addiction, and I had 2 back to back in the last couple of weeks, and they were remarkable. And yes, part of this is to let you know about them, but the other part is just to share with all of you what a remarkable experience those retreats are for me, and hopefully for the attendees as well. These women dig in, do some really powerful, intense work, learn to love themselves a little more, and just improve their relationship with themselves, which we know will translate into better relationship with food and better relationships with everybody else in your life. So I just want to say thank you guys for being here. And if you're interested in attending one next year, just watch your emails, watch, Facebook or my website. There will be probably 3 retreats next year. They run from Wednesday night through Sunday around noon. All right, so on we go with today's topic, and I will share with you very directly. This material that I'm using today is directly from a book by Andy Stanley, and the book is called Better Decisions, Fewer Regrets. And I used a lot of the content for the second retreat, which means these people had already been to one of my initial retreats. So the second retreat was a deeper look at themselves, at what they're doing, how people continue to sabotage themselves in their lives, and what's that all about? So I found this amazing book by Andy Stanley, and it is called, again, Better Decisions, Fewer Regrets. So, in your journey through weight loss and weight maintenance, we want to make good decisions at every turn, right? When it comes to our eating, we want to make good decisions. And if you've had weight loss surgery, I hope that decision includes eating protein first. That is a bariatric basic. So, working toward making really good, healthy food decisions. Protein first, followed by veggies and fruits. And then, if there's any room left in that pouch, maybe a few bites of starch, or, you know, that's how that works, right? So, making good decisions. A lot of times when people are attempting to lose weight, or really difficult time is when you're trying to maintain that weight loss, is making healthy decisions for the long haul. But if you break the decision making process down into one decision at a time, it might be easier to make each decision a better decision. So I'm just going to go through some of the material that Andy shares in his book in the hopes that this will be relevant to you, not only in your terms of your eating and your relationship with food, but it's the same principle in our relationships with other people. So if I get mad at my husband, for example, I have some options, right? I can give him the silent treatment, which is not healthy. It's passive aggressive behavior. Or I can scream and shout and holler, which is also not a healthy communication approach, right? It's going to push him away and likely to upset him even more. Or I could make a better decision, which would be to calmly explain to him why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling and what I would like in this situation to make things better. So we all have decisions to make. That goes for talking to our parents, to our children, to our employees, to our coworkers, to our bosses, and believe it or not, to food. And I do encourage people to talk to food. I do. Give it the what for. I don't need you anymore. You're not going to help me, so get out of the way. And that's how that works. So every decision we make determines the direction of our life. So if you're making a series of healthy decisions where your food is concerned, that's pointing you in a healthy direction, right? If you're making unhealthy choices where your food is concerned, well, hello. You're making a decision to go down an unhealthy path. Think about it this way. If you have a teenager, had a teenager, or were a teenager, it might make sense to you from this perspective. Maybe you were given a chore and you didn't want to do the chore, and so you just simply didn't do it. And therefore, you were given a consequence. Maybe you were grounded, couldn't use the car, couldn't use your cell phone, whatever it happened to be. And then you get all ticked off at the parents and say, "You're the worst people in the world. You've ruined my life. Oh my God, how could you do this to me?" With all that teenage angst, right? Well, your parents, with their wisdom and age behind them, say to you, "You made the decision to have this consequence when you made the decision not to do your chore." And they're absolutely right. So the decision the teenager makes not to do the chore determines the direction and the quality of his or her life. So you don't do your chore. In essence, you've opted for the consequence. And therefore, you have chosen the direction and quality of your life. Now you're stuck at home with those parents who are so miserable and rotten to you. And you don't get to go be with the people you want to be with, your friends. So that decision determined the direction and the quality of your life. Same goes with our food, with every interaction we have with other people. So if the decisions that you're making in relation to food include frequent trips to the vending machine, frequent trips through the drive-through, frequent trips to ice cream parlors, frequent trips to the grocery store, or infrequent, but coming home with a lot of decisions, food decisions that are going to lead you down an unhealthy path, you've made those decisions, right? So we have to take ownership and be accountable for the decisions we're making and understand the absolute correlation between every single decision we make and the direction it points us in our journey through weight loss, in our relationship with each person we have in our lives, and in the relationship we have with ourselves. And what that means is when I make unhealthy decisions, I feel it. I'm aware of it at some level. And even though the temptation may be to point the finger at somebody else, to blame other people, I'm the one who's made every decision in my life. And each one of the decisions that I have made, just like you, has led me to where I'm at today. Same with you. The good news is that's true for every day. We can make decisions every single day that will change the course, the direction, and the quality of our life. So, by making healthy decisions, just one at a time, you are determining what direction you want to head in. And here's the thing, it goes beyond just us. A lot of people, when they decide to lose weight or have weight loss surgery, say, "It's my turn. I've got to take care of me now. This is my year." And I think that is wonderful. And I'm all supportive of that. What I want to point out here is what Andy Stanley says is that every decision that we make not only affects the quality and direction of our lives, but it affects other people's lives. And that is really critical because what I know about most of you, having worked with you guys for so long, is that you're all about helping other people. I've never met a group of people so willing and having so much kindness for other people. And so we want to help the people that we love in our lives move in a healthy direction and have a good quality of life. So, how do our decisions that affect the direction and quality of our lives affect the direction and quality of our children's lives, or our husbands' lives, or our wives' lives, or our partners' lives, or our coworkers' lives? Well, if you get up in the morning, you weigh yourself, you get upset perhaps, and you're not your happiest self, if you go greet your family and you're kind of grumpy and you kind of bark at the kids or the spouse or the partner first thing off the day, you've affected the direction of their day, right? They're like, "Oh God, mom's in a bad mood. Oh geez, dad's grumpy. Oh gosh, what's going to happen?" And maybe you say something that's unkind or unpleasant or unhelpful to these people you love the most in the entire world right off the bat of the day. So you've affected the direction of your day, their day, by making a decision to let the scale influence how you feel about yourself and your world. That's just one easy example. But let's say you're on your way home from work and you drive through and you have a sneak meal, one you're not going to tell anybody about before you go home and make dinner and have another meal. Again, you're making a decision that's going to make you feel unhappy about you. And in some way, shape, or form, that is going to eke out onto the people at home. Or if you're on your way into the office, same kind of thing. So our decisions affect our mood because thoughts, feelings, behaviors, they all interplay, right? So we're affecting how we feel, and then how we feel is trickling down and affecting other people. So it's not just that your decisions affect your life, but they affect the lives of those around you also. So another point to make is that let's say you go into the kitchen or you go into the office and you're kind of grumpy and somebody calls you out on it and says, listen, just because you don't like what the scale said, you don't get to be crabby to all of us. Well, now you're really ticked, right? And you snap back at them. Well, one of your decisions that you make and I make, we all make these decisions throughout the day, is how we respond to other people, which is our decision, right? It's very tempting to say, well, you made me mad, or you hurt my feelings, or, if you hadn't said or done such and such, I wouldn't have. It's not valid, right? Because as a healthy adult, we are responsible for our responses to other people, which squarely lands in the category of my decision. My decision, how I'm going to react to you, how I'm going to respond to you. Eek, right? So we're responsible for all of our behavior, not just the decisions we make about food, but the decisions we make about every interaction with other people. Here is the really, really, really good news, and this applies throughout the day because a lot of people say, "Well, I blew it for the day. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. I already blew it with my food. Screw it. I'll start again tomorrow." No, that's unhealthy adult behavior because we have the ability, and this is the good news, to get on track with every decision. Every new decision is a turning point. So maybe I blew it before 10 o'clock in the morning. Well, guess what? At noon, when that timer goes off and it's time to eat protein first, followed up by a fruit or vegetable, et cetera, I have the decision once again to make as to how I want to set my day, right? So, one decision at a time. Every decision is how we write the story of our life. So, where you're at today is the result of lots and lots and lots and lots of decisions you've made. Now, some of you are like, oh, great. Look where I've led myself. And some of you are like, way to go, me. It's not an issue of beating yourself up or, um, thinking you're the greatest thing ever. It's about just taking ownership, being accountable, being responsible. So if you have made decisions that have led you to a place in your life where you don't like, then you have the opportunity to turn that around right now today. So today could be the opportunity. Today you could grab hold of that chance to change the direction of your life. And that's a really cool thing, right? Now, I know that you know, we've talked a lot about the disease of obesity and what a complex disease it is, right? And so you may be arguing with me in your mind, going, I'm not responsible for my weight. I have this and I have that and I have this and I have that and I have this and I have that. And that may be true. And for those aspects of your obesity, you're not responsible for the decision to have genetic predisposition. You're not responsible for what your mother fed you. You're not responsible for what your father fed you, or grandma, or the neighborhood, or whatever. You are responsible today for what goes in your mouth, and whether or not you exercise. So you may not be able to get your body to go to a size that you think you want it to be, but you can influence the factors you can influence so that your body is going to get to the healthiest your body can get, given the factors you cannot influence, right? So today, make decisions that are going to lead you to fewer regrets. Not feeling badly about yourself, not thinking you're a loser or why bother? All those negative kind of thought patterns we can get into. By making a healthy decision one at a time, you're going to lead yourself in a really good direction, right? So your decisions have shaped the direction and the quality of your life for good and sometimes not for good, right? I like to use this example. I heard on the radio a couple weeks ago, this young woman called in, and it's kind of a gossipy radio show. You call in, you give the people your problems, and they give you their advice, right? And they make it clear they're not professionals, blah blah blah. So this young woman, probably about 30, calls in and she says, well, I'm happily married. I love my husband. I would never, ever, 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 ever cheat on my husband. I love him dearly. But I have these fantasies about this guy at work. He's an older guy and he's my boss. And I just think about him a lot. And, I have an opportunity to do a special project with him. And that would require us to spend a lot of time together. And a lot of it would be one on one time. Do you think I should do this? Well, everybody was like, "No, you're setting yourself up for heartache," right? You're setting yourself up to make a decision or a series of decisions that you're probably going to regret if you follow through with this, and that are going to affect other people's lives, namely your husband. I don't know if the boss is married, but if he is, his partner or spouse. If anybody has children in this mix, it's going to affect their children. So this woman has a decision to make, right? But she's got a series of decisions to make because it's this series of decisions that lead to the decision. So she has a decision to make about whether or not she should even continue to work with this man. She has a decision to make whenever he pops into her mind to follow that thought or to say, I'm not going there. I love my husband. I'm not toying with that in any way, shape, or form. She has the decision to work closely with this man or not. So it's a series of decisions, just like you might have to make when you leave the office and you're tempted to drive by your old haunts, right? The drive-throughs, the places you love to go. So you have a decision to take that way or find another route. If you go that way, you have a decision whether to pull into that place or to drive on past. Once you drive in, you have a decision to make, should I get back in my car and leave or should I go in? So it's not the eating of the unhealthy food that's the decision. It's a series of decisions that you make getting to that point that you have to start intervening on, right? Because for good or bad, you are where you are today based on a series of decisions that you have made. You're an adult. You're an adult now. So, all of your adult life, your adult decisions have led you to where you are today. And for most of you, that's to a place where you're saying, I'm choosing health. I'm choosing health. I'm choosing health. That doesn't make the road easy just because you've chosen health, because you have to make many decisions every day to stay on that path of health. Another good you know, um, something very positive about this is that you get to write the story, the one you want to tell. Like, you know what? I had this real struggle with my weight, and I made the healthy decision to have bariatric surgery, go into a weight loss program. And I have continued to make healthy choices one at a time. And by continuing to do that, your best chapters are still ahead of you, right? And we talk about control. We want to control food. We want to get a control over this food thing. It's not about control over food. It's about getting control over the decisions you make, right? The decisions you make are what lead you to where you're at. So, what you want to have control over are your decisions, what you choose to do. You're not trying to get control over food. Food's just a thing. You want to learn to get control over your emotions that often lead you to unhealthy decisions. So, make a story that you want to tell. And there are 5 questions in Andy's book that he has designed that are really, thought provoking. And if you ask them at the right times, they can help you make those better decisions and lead to fewer regrets. So, very briefly, I'm going to share with you what those decisions or what those questions are. And then on Thursday, we're going to dive a little more deeply into each of these questions and tear them apart a little bit. The first question that Andy Stanley recommends that you say to yourself is he calls it the integrity question. Am I being honest with myself really? Because sometimes we play games with ourselves, right? Oh, I didn't have anything else with me. I had to eat out of the vending machine. Well, you made a decision earlier not to have something with you, a protein bar or protein chips or protein drink. And so you're using that as an excuse, maybe, to go to the vending machine. So the first question, the integrity question, is am I being honest with myself? Dot, 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 really? Because a lot of times we'll talk ourselves into or out of anything, right? We're a sucker for ourselves. We're going to come up with rationale or we're going to twist and turn the truth so that it sounds like the truth. But you really want to have a lot of integrity when you make your decisions. Am I being honest with myself? Really? The second question that he suggests we ask, he refers to as the legacy question, which is what story do I want to tell? Do I want to say, I started in this weight loss program, this weight loss surgery journey, and I started out gung ho, but by golly, I just didn't follow through and here I am again. Is that the story you want to tell? Or is the story you want to tell, I jumped in with both feet and was doing really well, and then it got really hard, and I didn't expect that. But you know what? I sought the help I needed to get back on track, to learn to make healthy decisions one at a time, and I am on the path to health. The third question, he says, is called the conscience question. And that is there a he says, "Is there a tension that deserves my attention?" In other words, when you go to do something and you know it's not quite the right thing for you to do in that moment, somewhere within you, there's a little voice that says, don't do it. Or you'll feel a little nudge in your stomach, to tell you, are you sure? Or you'll have a little pang of guilt or some thought that you try to push out of your mind, right? Like this girl making the decision to go work with her boss, which is the decision she made. We had a follow up. We haven't had a follow-up to the follow-up to see what's happened now that she's working closely with the boss, but there was a tension about making that decision, and she knew it, and she called and asked for help. She didn't follow the advice she got, which a lot of times we don't, but she had a tension within herself that knew there was something amiss. She didn't pay attention to that tension. So if you have this feeling like something's not right about this, pay attention to it and ask that question. What is this tension about? And what does it tell me in relation to this decision I'm about to make? The fourth question is called the maturity question. What is the wise thing to do? Because a lot of times we make decisions based on what do I want right now? I want something to make me feel better, and that something happens to be in that vending machine or that drive through. So what what is it I want? What is I want in the long run? What is the story that I want to tell? And, you know, paying attention to what's wise, not what would be the fun thing to do here, or what would be the tasty thing to do here, what would be the thing to do in this situation that would make me feel better, but what would the wise thing to be? So, given that you want to make a healthy life, with healthy weight, healthy food, healthy decisions, what's the wise thing to do in this situation? At the birthday party with the cake there, in the break room with all the junk there, at the vending machine, at the drive-through. What's the wise thing to do? Not the thing that would make me feel good, give me instant gratification, but the wise thing to do given where I say I want to go. So that is the maturity question. And the fifth question that Andy encourages us to ask when we're making a decision is, what does love require of me? Now, Andy's a preacher. Gets very biblical here, but I'm going to ask you to look at it this way. What does love of self require of you in a moment where you're making a food decision? What does love of your children, your partner, your family, what does love require of me? If I want to be around, if I want to be happy with myself, feel proud of myself, feel good at the decisions I make, if I want my children to have a mother for a long time or my grandchildren to have a grandmother for as long as possible, if I want my partner to have the healthiest, happiest version of me, what does love require of me in this decision? So, those are the five questions. I think if you ask these, you'll make wiser decisions. And if all you do is keep in mind every decision I make affects where I'm going and affects the people in my life. So, if not for you, then for them. So that's what I have for today, guys. So I hope you will join me Thursday on Berry Aftercare and listen to a greater, more in depth discussion of each of these five questions. Important topic. Hey, if you like the podcast, please do the thing that good, happy podcasters do. Tell your friends about it. And I appreciate you being here. And I am encouraging you to today make better decisions so that you have better regrets. Because as always, it is your health, it's your responsibility this day and every day. So I will see you on Thursday. Make it a good one.